Adriana is in Mexico.
Hi, everyone.
Adriana's in Mexico today, so I'll be flying solo. She's here right now to say hi to everyone and pass it off.
Hi.
Do you have any advice for everyone today?
What?
Do
Oh
you,
my God, no.
huh?
Advice.
Yeah.
Be yourself,
Uh-huh.
drink water,
Uh-huh.
worship the earth.
Hmm.
Don't pay attention to politicians.
I thought you were going to say, don't pay attention to Harshada.
No. Oh, I'm so glad you're going to do the Gayatri mantra. It's so beloved.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a powerful one today.
Loving you guys.
Yeah, so you can put in the chat where you're coming in from today and what you're coming in with, especially for those of you that are in the sacred embodiment work. You can put in what you're noticing in your body and, describe sensation, whatever is going on for you this morning as we get ready for the fire. I'm also going to let you know we're going to be writing today before the ceremony. So have something to write with and write on. If you have a candle or some kind of a flame, you can see this is the fire duni that I'm going to light at some point. But over here, I have the fire on our Saraswati Puja. I don't think Adriana's even seen the Saraswati Puja that I made here in the house. We got this Saraswati while we were in India. Yeah, so light a flame, have something to write with, and we will get started in just a couple minutes. Rosalie is coming in from the Pacific Northwest. Awesome, in Canada. The Highlands of Scotland, Alex, that is so rad. I love that. Totally different part of the earth. Zia is dropping in from Colorado, the Ute Nation ancestral lands, with an open heart, ready to receive. Love that. Um, Guatemala, that's so cool. Camille, welcome from Guatemala. That's so rad. Anna's usually in Warsaw, but now she's in Sicily. Ooh la la. That's nice. Liza wants to burn some demons today. Okay, New York. Evan is feeling impatient. Woodstock, Georgia, in the car park of my kids' dance class in Spain. Love that. My kid is homesick today. Bree is in the West Village. Love the West Village. We've got Germany, we've got Santa Fe, we've got Austin, Texas, Reno, Nevada, the desert south of Tucson. It's so cool. Seattle, Washington. Welcome, everyone. Upstate New York, San Diego. Oh, that's a bummer. I'm sorry you hurt your back, Sarah. Very cold and snowy New England. Charlemagne, welcome. We're going to definitely get warm today. All right. El Paso, Texas. I think I'm ready to get started. Brussels, Belgium. Welcome, Sarah. Nice to see you here. All right. So as we know, these fire ceremonies are a combination of like a class. We're going to talk a little bit and kind of lead you through a process and share some ideas with you. And then also the ceremony, which is a practice. It's a sacred practice. And I feel like when I was thinking about what to do today, since I'm by myself, is I thought it would be good to talk a little bit about the fire work, about the fire practice. It's like we have been doing these ceremonies now for quite some time on a regular basis. And we kind of assume that everyone is on board. We assume that everyone, knows why they're here and, knows the value of the firework. And I mean, many of you yourselves are fire keepers. I know that. Many of you already have a lot of training working with elemental ceremonies, including fire. But I wanted to share with you just a few perspectives from our point of view. But before we get into any of that, I want to, just like I always like to do whenever I lead classes, I always like to take a moment for myself and invite you to join me in a moment of centering, in a moment of shifting, in a moment of going from whatever we were doing to what we're doing now. So, wherever you are, if you can, if you're not driving or something, close your eyes with me. And just do a few audible exhalations where you really breathe in deep and scoop up whatever is there, and then let it out with a sigh if you can. If you're in a place where you can make a noise, it might be a more than a sigh. It might be a yell. It might be a howl. It might be a groan or a moan. And add a shake to it. So you're shaking all the way down, especially down into your hips, down into your lower heart, down into your pelvis. Just getting the willies out. Now let's do one where we breathe in. We stretch our arms all the way up. And then shake your hands on the exhale. And again. One more, just stretching up. And shake your whole body, your face, everything. Take your hands to your face and just massage any inauthenticity off of your face. All of your fawning, all of your fighting, your mad dog face. I'm getting in here to my ears. Just your face is the canvas where we paint so many different expressions. I just want to clear that off this morning with some touch. Take your hands around to the back of your neck. Give your neck some love. Shake your hands one more time and then just drop them in your lap. Keep your eyes closed. And I want to take a moment to invoke the grace of my teachers and invite you to invoke the grace of your teachers. And we call into this moment the support of all of the unseen ascended masters. We call in the support of the 9 planets. We call in the support of the 6 directions. We call in the support of all of the good energies that we all rely on. We call in our ancestors. Some of them are here to support us, and some of them are here to get healed. And take a breath, and we give a message to the demonic forces that are part of our life. some of them in us, some of them in the world, some of them in our life. And we give the message to the demonic forces: if you're here to get healed, have a seat. If you're here to cause mischief, go away. And you can imagine, wherever you are, a circle. And we are in that circle together. And everyone that you want in the circle is there. And everything that you don't want is outside of that circle. This isn't just a Zoom call. This is not a show. We're doing ceremony. And we'll get clearer about other intentions. But for this moment, I'm just going to declare the intention of this ceremony is to invoke wisdom and power and freedom and healing. Divine connection. And unconditional love for everyone that's here. And everyone that we're praying for in this ceremony. Om Ganeshaya Namaha. Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Okay. I feel like we're done. You can open your eyes. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next month. When we were in India together, and some of you that were in India with us are here today, and others that are alumna of the India pilgrimage retreat will know this experience too, where we did a traditional fire ceremony in a very sacred place called Trimbakeshwar in Maharashtra. And it was a deep experience. We were doing a Devi pilgrimage, so we were honoring the divine feminine, and the ceremony that we did was especially focused on the goddess, and we did these Tantric Kali mantras, and it was super deep and super cool. But one of the things that traditionally is always done is a pretty elaborate ritual where they call in the energy of the planets, the ancestors, they cast out the energy of the demonic forces, and they declare very formally what the intention of the ceremony is. And that's the thing that I want to bring up, is that for many of us, we do a lot of ceremony. We live in a ceremonial way. I don't know everyone that is in this group right now. You know, as of now, there's like 56 people here. I don't know everyone that's here, but I know a lot of you. And I know that a lot of you are really mystical people that have sacred ceremony as part of your life, periodically in a big way, like those of you that come to India or, you know, do other kinds of ceremonies, come on retreats with us. And for some of you, just like in a daily way. Some of you have kind of graduated to the next level where everything in life becomes ceremonial, right? Where your meals become ceremonial, your bathing becomes ceremonial, your rest becomes ceremonial, your pleasure becomes ceremonial. And that, of course, that's a vision, that's a goal. That's an attainment when we actually have that experience. But sometimes it can become routine and we forget why we're even doing anything. So I wanted to tell this story. I didn't tell this story in India. I usually do. Some of you who've worked with me, you've heard this story before. but it's worth hearing again. So there was an ashram a long time ago with a traditional guru, and the guru would do this ceremony every day in a temple and then lead a meditation. And if you've been to India, the temples there are kind of open. They don't have doors that close. They're just kind of open to the air and open to life around. And so one day when this guru was leading meditation, a cat wandered in from outside, just like a local cat, and started to disturb the meditation. And if any of you have cats, cats love to disturb meditation. He was walking on people's laps and his tail was going in people's face and it was meowing. And the guru noticed that people were getting disturbed and told one of the helpers, take the cat out of the temple. It's disturbing the meditation. Went back to meditation and the cat just came back. Did the same thing. So the guru says, okay, so take the cat out, but take it way over by the kitchen and just, put it there, come back. So they took the cat all the way to the other side of the ashram where the kitchen was, and they came back and they meditated. And guess what? The cat just followed back and came in and disturbed the meditation again. So the guru, being full of wisdom, said, okay, take the cat and take it back over by the kitchen and tie it to a pole. There's a pole there, just tie it to the pole. And then after meditation, go give it a treat and untie it. So the guy goes, takes the cat by the kitchen, ties it to a pole, comes back. They have their meditation, goes off great. After the meditation, they go back and they give the cat a treat and untie it and pet it and everything. Next day, they go for meditation. Same time. They have a routine. They do the same thing every single day. The cat comes back. Again, disturbs the meditation the same way. So the guru says, okay, tie the cat to the pole again. And if it comes the next day, then just do the same thing. So this happens. And then finally, the guru says, look, we know what's going to happen. So before meditation, find the cat and tie it to the pole. And then afterwards, we'll give it a nice treat and we'll give it a nice pet, But this way we can keep the meditation going. So they start doing this and it becomes a thing. It becomes a tradition. And after meditation, everybody goes and unties the cat, pets the cat, and, feeds the cat. And it becomes like part of the meditation. So this goes on and the guru's old, right? So the guru has already given instructions and said that when he dies, they should just continue on as if he's there. Just put his picture on his chair and just continue on with the daily schedule and do all the things. So the guru dies and they continue everything, including the meditation and including tying the cat to the pole after meditation, giving treats and pets and everything. And then this goes on so long that eventually the cat dies. So what do? They're faithful disciples. They get another cat and they start tying it to the pole before meditation every day and going and petting it. Eventually, this ashram kind of grows and the disciples move to different places and they establish different ashrams. And wherever they go, they build a temple for the meditation. And they also build a pole and get a cat. And every time they meditate, they tie a cat to a pole. Afterwards, they untie it. You understand the idea. So this expression of tying the cat to the pole is something that's important for sincere seekers to understand. Because in our system, the system that Adriana and I come from, we don't do things just for the sake of doing them. This isn't a religious trip. This is a mystical path. And so the practices are not just abhyasa, which means repetitive practice. We like to think of the practices as upaya, which means remedy. So any practice that we're doing, there's a reason for it. There's an outcome that we're looking for. There's, we tie the cat to the pole because that cat was disturbing the meditation. Once that cat is gone, then that problem is resolved. But, you know, in that particular case, it was sweet and they like cats and it just became this like sweet thing and they tie the cat to the pole and they don't even know why anymore. They just blindly follow along what some guru said, a generation ago. And that's the case for so many of us. With just teachings and practices, like why do we practice and do? Why are there 7 chakras? Are there 7 chakras? Have you ever seen a chakra? Like I don't know, but that's what everyone says. So let's do that. um, but the point that I'm getting to is for those of us that do have this very ceremonialized life and have, so many things. Let me just turn my camera here so you can see like our whole like altar area is very elaborate and even more elaborate since we've been back from India because I made this Saraswati um, altar and this above Saraswati for you yoga geeks is Paravach, which is the power of speech, which is kind of connected to Saraswati. And the first thing I do every morning, or the first thing whoever gets up first, is we go and we light candles, we light some incense, we do a little moment of prayer before we start our day. And let me tell you, after 30 years, it can become very automatic. And what I want to encourage everyone to do is don't be automatic. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's better to do an automatic practice than no practice. But then sometimes it's better to do no practice rather than do something that you don't even know why you're doing it. Especially something with a lot of power, like a fire ceremony. When I was little, it was the summer between kindergarten and first grade. So I must have been 5, maybe 6. And my dad's office had this office picnic that they would do every summer. And they had a fire, like a bond. They'd always have a bonfire. And at the end of the day, the bonfire had kind of burned down and it was just like a big pile of sort of hot coals at that point. And I was running around. I don't even remember what, but somehow I tripped and I fell into the fire. And, I blocked myself with my hands, but I basically took my hands and just stuck them right into the hot coals. And you can imagine it was not pleasant, and a huge emergency. And, my parents had to rush me to the emergency room. And I had 2nd and 3rd degree burns on my hands, all over my hands. And so much so that I had to wear bandages on my hands for weeks. And even when I first started first grade, I had to wear socks over my hands to like keep the wounds clean. And so we were like learning our alphabet and stuff on these little chalkboards. And I can remember erasing the chalkboard with my hand socks. And then, growing up in the Midwest and kind of grew up in the woods, where we lived, I got into scouts and, fire was always a part of my life. That first initiation was certainly something for me. And now I recognize, but I've always been drawn to a fire. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. Can you relate to this? You can just like put reactions up. Um, I've always related to fire and loved it. And it's had a sacred connection for me even before I knew what a sacred connection was. When I was in scouts, one of my favorite things was like, having the fire, but especially at scout camp, in the summer we'd go and all the troops would be like camping in this whole big wooded area. And each scout troop would have their own campsite. Each campsite would have a fire, and you could walk around at night and there'd just be multiple campfires. And I just loved it so much, and just sitting around a fire. And then later, as I got initiated into this path, then I learned more about sacred fire in the Indian tradition. And there's the Vedic fire ceremony, the Homa or the Yajna, like we did in India, a formal thing that, there's very specific technical things with it. But then there's also the Duni, and that's the tradition that we follow here. The Duni is an informal fire, and there are a lot of yogis in our tradition that kept a Duni. They like keep Duni, which that means is that they have a fire that just like never goes out. It's always going. I mean, it might like burn down to just like embers, but it's always going continuously. And when you would go to visit these yogis, they would have the fire right there next to them. And that would be part of the experience of being with them. And then they could also do ceremony around it. They can make offerings to the fire. But, you know, a lot of the yogis in our tradition basically were like camping all the time. That was their lifestyle. And so it was also just a practical thing to keep warm and to cook their food. It's like the fire becomes this elemental companion. And I feel like it's so important today because we live in this digital world, and here we are doing a digital fire ceremony. I mean, so come on, we're going to have to jump over this little bit of cognitive dissonance. But, to when we live so much in this digital realm, in our heads, out of our bodies, out of these elements, I feel like it's so helpful to have direct access to direct elements. And the fire, um, unique from wind, unique from water, unique from earth, unique from space, the fire has, it's a being. It's a being that can be born when it's kindled, and then it lives, it eats, right? It consumes, it excretes the smoke, right? It's alive, and then it dies. At some point, it goes out and it's dead. And while it's alive, it is incredibly potent. I keep gesturing towards this little votive candle that is on our altar over there. The flame isn't even as big as the tip of my pinky finger, but that flame could burn down this whole house. That flame here in Southern California could burn down the whole neighborhood. It's very, 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 very powerful. So when we work with it in a ritual way and lighting a candle and putting it on our altar, as simple as that is a ritual. And that can be incredibly profound ritual when you take all this into account, like how powerful this being is. When we do fire ceremony in this way, where we actually kindle a significant fire and make offerings with an intention, we're taking that power, we're taking that elemental power, and we're yoking ourselves to it for the sake of prayer and like giving thanks, but also prayer and like making petitions, like calling in the things that are really true to us. But also, if you think about it, just the time that we spend with the fire is so different from the time that we spend with this fire, right? Because it's like, whereas this might give us some dopamine and might stimulate our minds in some way, the fire, that actual elemental being, it will touch us through its heat. It will enter us through its light and its fragrance, its smoke. And it will literally receive our prayers. And that's what we're going to do today. I think we'll leave the lecture at that point. I'd love to hear, what you're noticing, what comes up for you. You can put it in the chat. I'm just reading some of the things here. It's Anna's first time here. Welcome, Iglesias. A lot to release. Yes. 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 Wonderful. Wonderful. Adriana put in here that they're going to be doing a ceremony to the sacred ceiba tree here in the land connected to all the elements in the heavens and the underworld. This is so relevant. In cacao ceremony last night, the beautiful Mayan woman from that land where Adriana is shared so generously that there are no borders between us, that we are one. Her aliveness and passion and deep sensitivity and honesty moved us all into the heart in a massive way. She hugged you like it was the last time she was ever going to get to hug you. Our aliveness is so sacred, even in the forms of suffering it comes in sometimes. Thank you for sharing this. Your storytelling is sacred to us, Harshada, and all of us. Thank you. B said she lit a candle for a friend who messaged to tell her that she was in labor. She fell asleep on the sofa and woke up at 3 a.m., but woke up as the wick burnt out, and she messaged me a picture of her baby that had just been born. That's so cool. Yeah. For me, there's something mesmerizing about the dance of flames, the movement of fire that invites me to come into a primal and vulnerable way beyond mind, purifying all that is moving within me. Yeah. Here's another couple things to consider. So, like sometimes when we're in India, we stay in some places that are very basic. And when I'm there by myself, I stay in places that are very, very basic that I would never, bring the groups to. And just the power of having a flame, just like a little lamp, like a little ghee lamp or a little, votive candle or something. It just takes a space that is otherwise energetically kind of dead or energetically even kind of like off, and it just changes it. It just brings in this magical element. It's not just decoration. I mean, it's nice to have a candlelit dinner or whatever, but it's not just that. It actually is bringing this element, and this is the element that we're getting into when we do the ceremony. And like I learned when I was 5 or 6, it's also, it needs to have the right container, and you can't fuck with it. You have to not be afraid of it, but you have to treat it with tremendous respect, because it will burn and it will destroy. And the smoke, we use the smoke ceremonially. Some of you use the smoke ceremonially in a way that's probably not so good for your spiritual life, let's be honest. But the smoke can also kill us. That's why people die in house fires, is from smoke inhalation. It's really intense. So let's do a little bit of writing in preparation. And what we're going to do over here is I'm writing something that I'm going to put in the fire. And you may or may not be able to burn what you're writing right there, right then. But I bet chances are somehow, somewhere after this, you can take it and burn it. For right now, what you're going to do is I want you to make sure that you have some place where you can put it ceremonially. So even if you just fold it up and put it on your altar, or even if you're like on the go in some way, and this is the altar, this screen that you're watching this on, that also counts. But you're going to write it and then put it someplace. And if you're writing on your phone or on your computer, I'm not sure what to tell you. Maybe later you transcribe it onto some paper that you can burn. But that's the intention. So we're not making art right now that is going to be precious and that we want to keep. Um, what we need to do is instead, the standard isn't the art or the writing. The standard is the honesty and the authenticity. So let's close our eyes for a moment and just tune in and just ask, what do we want? What do we really, really want? Breathe in and feel it in your body. And then also breathe in and tune into, what do we really need to get free from? What do we really need to get rid of? Open your eyes, and then on your paper, you're just going to make a line. This is not showing up so well. You're going to make a line, and on one half of the page, you're going to write what you want, and on the other half of the page, you're going to write what you don't want. And I suggest these are words, because we don't have infinite time in this ceremony. This is ceremonial time. So we're just like a few words, like at least 3 words on each column. Things that you want, energies that you want to call in, and energies that you want to cast out in yourself, in your life, in the world. Off you go. 2 minutes. What you want and what you want to cast out. Okay, about 30 more seconds. Okay, so wrap that up for right now, because we want to light the fire. We have a long mantra today, so we have to kind of get moving with the actual ceremony. So what I came up with, and obviously if I was doing this in private, I might come up with more confidential kind of things. But and what I'm calling in, I just have this word thriving was coming in. It's what thriving energy. So I have thriving kids, thriving seva, meaning my work and all of my service, and thriving love. And that includes romantic love in my relationship with Adriana, but also my relationship with friends and kids and everything. So thriving kids, thriving seva, thriving love. And what do I want to cast out? Stagnation, the energy of stagnation. Meanness, and this is especially like in the outer world and the collective, there's so much mean, wicked energy right now, and I just want to cast that out of my life and my body, my family, my house. And projections, which is like negative projections, like haters and gossip and all of that kind of stuff. That we live in a small town, and yeah, so that's what came up for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to fold it up before I put it in the fire, because if I just put the paper in the fire, sometimes it like blows all over the place. So you do the same thing, and then you can put it on your altar. You can put it just here on the computer or wherever. I want to say I'm going to try to finish this fire ceremony before the end of the hour. And then afterwards, we're here for another half an hour of Q and R. So for the ceremony today, we're going to use the mantra that is oftentimes known as the Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra. Every deity has a Gayatri mantra. So there's many, many Gayatri mantras, but this one, and hopefully B can put the mantra into the chat, is a famous one. And it goes Om Bur Burasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Na Prachodayat. And I'll tell you just, this is a rough translation of it, but it means we meditate on the divine light of the supreme. And this word supreme that they use is Savitur, which is like the sun. It's the power of the sun, the most worthy and excellent one. May that divine brilliance inspire and awaken our D. So D means our whole inner mind and intellect and psychotherapeutic world. That's the D. It's our whole inner landscape. Let's see if there's anyone here. It looks like maybe B is not here now. But we want to get this mantra in here. Let me see. I just have to open this up real fast. We're like live here, trying to get this information. It doesn't always work. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to give you the transliterated, which means it's like written in English letters with the pronunciation marks to it. So if you just look in the chat for a second, it's Om Bhur. So it's Bhuu, like an OO sound. Bhu, Om Bhur Bhuasvaha. It says Sva, but when it has that dot under it and it's at the end of a sentence, there's like a little bit of a ha with it. Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Okay, so that's the mantra. And some of you are really familiar with this mantra already. For some of you, it's a big mouthful, I understand. But we're going to light the fire. And I didn't really time this. So I didn't time it very well. Let me put it that way. So we're going to try to get through 108 repetitions of this. And as I repeat the mantra, I'm going to be making offerings to the fire. So in this bowl, I have this combination of, I have some dried rose petals, some rice, some black sesame seed, and this other combination of wood and herbs that is especially for fire ceremonies. In this bowl, I have clarified butter or ghee that has solidified in this cold temperature. So we'll see how that goes for this. Hopefully it will soften. So as I repeat the mantra, I'm going to use a mala to count the repetitions of the mantra 108 times. That's what these are for, by the way. I will make an offering with each repetition of the mantra. Okay, so here we go. If you have to go right at the hour and we're not done, stay tuned, come back to the replay. We'll send you information about a course that I'm doing coming up. But if you can stay for this, let's put our intentions into the fire. I'm going to sing a Ganesh mantra to start. Om Ganana Antva Ganapati Gahavamahe Kaving Kavina Mupavasta Vastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmana Brahmanaspata Shunwan Nutibisi the Sadhanam. Om Namo Bhagavate Nityanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sadashivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahadevaya. Om. Here we go. Now we're going to start with the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. I take a pause. We're more than halfway done with 108 now. But take a pause to reconnect with your intention. Why are you doing this? Are we tying the cat to the pole? Or do you have a purpose? Is there something that you really care about that you want to put into this right now? There is for me. I'm going back to the paper now. I'm going to offer my paper into the fire And with this, I'm offering also all of your prayers, whatever those may be. Going back to finish the mantras. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Last three. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Last one. Om Bhurbhurasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. And you can just take a moment meditating on the fire on the screen. Some of this wood is wood that I just get from the firewood place. And a lot of it is wood that I collect from our little wilderness area here near our home. It's a place where we do other sacred ceremony. And where I like to go is kind of my little sacred place. It always feels really special. So let's hear from you. We have about 20 more minutes to just discuss and have satsang. And I'd love to hear from any of you. And you can just unmute. And Alex, I'm going to make you co-host also, because you know how to do like the spotlight thing that I like to do when people share. So you can spotlight me and them when they share. But who would like to jump on? I'd love to hear from you. You could just unmute and just go.
I can share something.
Great.
Sounds
like Jane. Hi,
Hi.
Jane.
Hello. I appreciated the kind of the writing down intentions or beforehand, because sometimes with these I do have some trouble connecting with like what I'm actually doing during the ceremony. And it was really nice to have these like very clear prayers for why I was doing the ceremony. And also I was feeling connected to everyone else, like what you said, like for everyone here to feel unconditional love. Like I felt connected to everyone else here, seeing your faces on the screen during the ceremony, and it kind of like really like um added like even more power to the ceremony that I could really like feel in my body. Like at one point I almost felt like a little woozy, and I could feel the difference between like when I'm really connecting into the purpose of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and feeling everybody, and then sometimes falling out of that and kind of just going through the motions. So it was like, yeah.
And for me too, even sitting here, it's the same thing. And that's kind of part of it. And I feel like that's part of like good meditation. I feel like that's like good, like kirtan chanting. I always say like, it's really good to get bored. Like let yourself go through the motions of getting into it. And then you get bored and you drift off and then you come back. Or, it's like, that's a very important part of the process with this kind of thing too. And that's why it's like 108 Gayatri mantras. That's like a lot. And, it's really easy to just kind of go into the monotony of it and to come back. The other thing that I did there is that I usually will like to do myself is just stop in the middle and just like reconnect and just like remember, what are we doing? Because like once it gets started, sometimes then you're just kind of in it. But to be able to like stop and be like, okay, and same thing in meditation, same thing in chanting. What am I doing? Oh yeah, here I am. Here's my intention. And go. Yeah. Thank you, Jane. Hey, Anna Iglesias, would you like to jump on?
Sure.
Raising
Thank
your hand
you.
so politely.
I know.
Welcome.
I was just gonna jump in because I'm that kind of person, but I saw other people raise their hands, so I was like, well, I'll be polite. I literally my first thought when you're like, what do you want to share? I'm like, why don't I do this all the time? Um, there's something so I'm a writer, so like words are really they carry a lot of weight for me, and I'm always writing, although a lot of times, yeah, on the computer. But I have all these journals, all these things, and I don't know, to just write my intentions, like both what I'm calling in and my releasing, and like watching the act of like the paper like burning is really powerful. And just like I'm just sitting on my bed, like right, like this is just my nightstand, like where am I like I don't know, there's just something I'm grateful for being here. And like when you were talking at the beginning and talking about ancestors, I was like journaling this morning for this other class I'm doing about ancestors, and it just like made me cry immediately. Like there's so much grief that I don't always think about, and so much that I think women, particularly people with like that we carry from our mothers, from our grandmothers, that we don't always realize. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely feeling that and hoping that, some of that, I know it's not a magical, like, oh, I burned it, it's gone now, but there's something about that act in addition to doing the work that feels powerful.
Definitely.
So thank you.
Yeah. And our mothers and grandmothers, and for men, our fathers and our grandfathers too, especially men that are into this kind of thing. Chances are our fathers and almost definitely our grandfathers could not have imagined this. And, there's so much sacrifice and so much false surrender and just so much grief, like for all of our ancestors. And I like, we meaning us kind of new age people have adopted this practice of like invoking the ancestors that come from some of these indigenous traditions. But the thing is like for a lot of us, especially European descent people, um, our ancestors are like colonizers, like miserable people. I know that just in my family, just a couple generations, there's so much misery and alcoholism and abuse. And it's like, yeah, we call them in, but let's call them in to be healed. Like they're not necessarily like they're like showering blessings on us. They're probably like my ancestors like reincarnated as like the neighborhood cat or something, um, but yeah, thank you. And where are you in the world again, Anna?
I'm in Brooklyn, and yeah, it's funny. Actually, I have my grandparents on my dresser over here, and I kind of ended up in the neighborhood where my paternal grandparents grew up and where my dad grew up.
Crazy.
So I think about them a lot. Yeah.
Amazing. And there are other people here, like maybe connected Jane or other people, if you don't know them, that are in Brooklyn also. There's a lot of people out
Oh, yeah, awesome.
there. Yeah. In May, actually, I'll just mention this now. We're going to announce it this week. We're doing a silent meditation retreat in upstate New York for all of you New Yorkers. May 15th to the 19th. Hey, Evan. Oh, let's go with Nashka because she's already up, and then we'll go with Evan. Hi, Nashka.
Hello,
Where are you in the world?
I'm in Toronto.
All right.
How's everybody? I hope everybody's doing great.
Yeah.
I came on here to say that this session has helped me realize something about myself and what path I want to go to with my career. I've been scouring for the past couple of weeks on what I want to do, and I've been feeling for a really long time like a failure because in my family I should have had things figured out by now, but I'm only 24.
You mean according to your family's idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. According to them, I should have things figured out by now. I should have had the home, the family, the career, everything figured out. But it's like I'm just starting to figure things out. I just realized that I want to go into paleontology or archaeology.
Right on.
And I think I've been doing, with everything that's been happening to me the past couple of days, the past couple of weeks, I'm really, really seeing that the universe is very powerful, because the fact that I'm even here is just things, little things that brought me to this moment. And I had a whole monologue prepared, I forgot. And I'm very excited. I'm very happy to see that there are people that like have the same wave of thinking as me and that are journeying through life. It's very helpful to know that I'm not alone.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You're not. And just imagine, like, if you could get together. Now we live in such a scattered way, so many of us, but like if we could get together with like 20 of our like closest like soul people every day at the end of the day and sit around a fire and just sit around a fire and like process and like give thanks for what happened and like call in what we want to just imagine how powerful that would be. And now we have to do that oftentimes in these ways, like creative ways of trying to use technology in some cases. In some cases we have to travel to do it, like come to retreats, like come to events, but still to have that principle in place. It's so powerful. Thank you. I teach at these festivals sometimes, like music festivals, like Lightning in a Bottle and Vision Fest. And something that I really like about them is that, they'll have like these different dance floors with DJs and musicians and party stuff going on. But there's usually like a sacred fire too, that they just keep going. And, it's like there's always people there. And I don't know, for some reason that just came up as you were talking, and just like those of us that are drawn to, it's so ancient, talking about paleontology, it's like such an ancient thing to just like sit with a fire, for a purpose besides just getting warm, or for a purpose other than just cooking your food, So thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let's hear from Evan. Hey, Evan.
Hey, feels like it's been a little bit. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Like my abhisheka in the morning that Pavarti gave to me has been feeling like tough and stale a little bit, and I was trying to figure out like how do I bring heart back into it. So this was like really helpful for that. So I appreciate it.
It's great.
And there's like I also the chant was like so powerful. I felt like tears coming up. I felt like I was back in the ashram in Trimbakeshwar. Um, and so like I'm gonna actually like do that daily now. So thank you. That was like so freaking powerful. Overall, there's just been like this like current of truth that's come through since you and I met in New York City. Like, oh, how long ago that was? Maybe 8 months ago. Of having this like direction and vision that's coming through. And so I appreciate that. And um, like the continued practice is just it's ebbed and flowed, but there's been like this like just current that's been connecting all of it. So and this just felt like it ignited it a little bit. So
Love it.
You. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate you. Yeah. And that's the thing. We just always like keep coming back. And it's like we'll get something and then we use it for some time. It's like tying the cat to the pole. And then at some point we have to stay present to when either the practice needs to be refreshed or the practice needs to be replaced. And that's just how it goes.
Like actually, so that's a question because like we've talked a lot, and actually, Poverty talked about this during our session we had with her about how like she would stick with something for like a very long time until it got stale. It's like so like in this new age when everything's just like fresh, new. Like how do you know when it's the switch up the thing or just stick with it? Like that's the I don't know if I was grappling with the switch of it, but I was grappling that am I just doing this to do it now? So yeah, that's like the question that I don't have the answer to.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to see your experience, and then also just check in with your teachers. That, that's what we're here for.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. We have a few more minutes. Who else wants to jump in? I'll talk a little bit about that silent retreat. So, yeah, we wanted to do a silent meditation retreat where we practice silence for many days. In this case, it'll just be like 3 whole days, like 4 days altogether. That isn't serious, that isn't like this kind of like solemn, noble silence thing, but that's ecstatic, because our experience of practicing silent practice is actually, it's very psychedelic. And it's like every letter that we hold back lovingly and joyously, it's like a little morsel of energy. And like every letter that we let go is like a morsel of energy that we let go. And so when we retain the energy, it just builds up, and our senses just become so heightened, and especially our subtle sense and our ability to perceive the divine within ourselves, but also out in nature. We're going to be up in upstate New York around Wallkill. It's a beautiful place out in nature. We're going to be walking in the woods together and laughing and probably chanting and definitely dancing and doing different practices besides just meditation. We're just not going to be speaking. And so I want to invite, it's not a huge retreat site, so we can't have like everyone there, but definitely if you're called to do that, keep us in mind. You'll be hearing announcements about that soon. And something that everybody can do, and Alex, I would love it if you could put this link in the chat. In a couple of weeks, I'm starting a 4-week course on the 8 limbs of yoga. Again, it's like snore, 8 limbs of yoga, but we're doing the 8 limbs of yoga according to Mahayoga, according to the way that we approach yoga. And so we're talking about like yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. But from this ecstatic and sahaja point of view, sahaja means like, it's not just the formal practice. It's not just what we do on our yoga mat, in our meditation seat, but it's like how we use the yoga the way that it was originally intended in order to be awake and connected to the power, our freedom, and our power within ourselves. And be able to perceive that in others also. It's really about unleashing the power of love within us. And it's just 4 weeks. We'll do like 2 limbs a week, but really it's just like, I couldn't wait. I came up with the idea when I was in India, and I just couldn't wait to just come back from India and just like offer this course that is just like essential Mahayoga stuff. Because, it's like we say, hurt people, and free people, and we really need to be free and empowered during this time when there's like so much bullshit and darkness happening around us in the world that I don't even want to talk about too much today. But you know what I'm talking about. And coming back from yoga this time, I'm just completely on fire, pun intended, about yoga, and about like making it not just this exercise routine, obviously, but just like, who cares about yoga? It's the most boring thing in the world because of capitalism. The capitalism has like sucked the juice out of it. And now it's just like this empty thing. Well, it's not. It's like so powerful, and it's changed my life and continues to. So I'm really happy to share the juice of yoga. That's what this course is really about. It's like none of the dryness, none of the bullshit, none of the tying the cat to the pole. It's just the juice, just the essence, just the medicine of yoga. So the link to that is in here somewhere, and we'll send that to you too in a follow-up email, along with a link to the silent retreat application. thank you guys for being here. We're almost at the end of our time. Daria, if you're still here, she said, will you recommend the course if we've done YTT and learned about them from another teacher? Especially, definitely if you've learned about them in other contexts, especially yoga teacher trainings, because this is one of these things I don't even usually teach on them, because it's something that has been, I feel like, neutralized. And because it's taught, it's the one thing that is taught in yoga teacher trainings because they like have to, but nobody understands it. I'm not saying that in any disrespectful way towards your teacher or anybody else's teacher. Let me say that in a more diplomatic way. The way that this little thing, the 8 limbs, has been passed down now through many generations, you know, through like teacher trainings and, you know, teacher training trainers and teacher trainer trainers. It's just like the actual cojones, the huevos of the whole thing has been kind of pulled out of it to make it more, oh, she's back. She was gone. Daria, I was just answering your question about yoga teacher training, so you might have to go back and listen to it. But the short answer is definitely, if you've learned about it in other contexts, you should come back and learn about the 8 limbs in this course, because the way that it has been passed down through the sort of yoga world, modern yoga world, it's taken the potency out of them, and it's made them more about yoga practice as opposed to being these principles for like sacred practitioners and witches and wizards and, you know, those of us that are trying to like really be these free, awake humans that are serving others. So definitely, if you've learned about the 8 limbs in any other context, come, because it's going to be a very different way of talking about them. Okay, loves, everybody. Yeah, Jane is saying that she finds with a lot of Buddhist and yoga teaching, the divine has been taken out to make it palatable to people that have been wounded by religion. Definitely. I mean, Buddhism also is an atheist. It's actually an atheist philosophy. And yoga has become that too, sadly. And it's not because it doesn't matter. It's not because the divine isn't an important ingredient. It's just that, again, people don't know how to talk about it. And it's got so much garbage attached to it from religion that it's better if we just don't talk about it and just talk about downward facing dog. Oh, and Adriana. Hi, Adriana. She was in tears with people who live in touch with the sacred. Yes. Yes. And thank you for being here with us. There's so many of you that come to every one of these. And we thank you so much. And I thank you on behalf of Adriana too. And we're going to honor the time and say goodbye. Bye, everybody. If you want to unmute and say goodbye, please do. We'd love to hear your voice at least a little bit.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Hi, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. See you soon, I hope.
Bye.
There she is.
Bye. Harshada, are you there?
Yeah. Hi.
Oh my God. So I had no idea what this ceremony was. And we just did a fucking fire ceremony the same exact time. Like we just finished it. Like really powerful.
Really?
And this guy blew this conch like nobody's business. And Mirabai and I were just telling him about how in India they do that at the beginning of fire ceremonies too. And he blew it like it was like we all were like, what the fuck is going on? It was so powerful. And everybody was like crying, and it was just so beautiful. And I just was so grateful feeling how we're all together, you know, in the heart, but also. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, did you hear what I said or no?
Yes, I heard most of it.
Oh, can you believe that? No, I'm not walking. The Wi-Fi might be bad.
Now I can hear you.
Oh, can you believe that?
Yeah, that's so cool. This was like not as fun to do without you, though, I have to say.
Well, I was there. That's what I'm telling you. Like wherever you are, I am also there. That's what I'm trying to explain to you right now. You're not picking up what I'm putting down.
No, I know. On that level, I know, but I just mean on this level.
But like, wow. And like, it's so relieving to be around like just indigenous people that just like know how to fucking pray and worship and live, you know, that just like really do it. It's just like, uh, I'm just so grateful. And I'm so grateful that happened at the same time. Like, how could we, like, my mind is blown.
It's cool.
And it just made me realize, like, wow, it's so important that we like do this every month. Like, you know, and how much we do ceremony in our lives. Like, how just I'm so grateful that we do that. And yeah, it was beautiful. It was so powerful.
Love it. Love you.
Wow. I just also want to say, it's like, you know, it's like when we're in India and like the older people are just like so beautiful. It's like the same thing. It's like the same
Yeah.
love, you know, because they're just like, we are, you know, I am you and you are me. And like that recognition of that is just like, it's so deep and it's just like so healing, you know, to like really be around people who like embody that.
I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking about how like American old people just seem so miserable and afraid.
Yeah.
And like how old people in India and Mexico is kind of like this too, I think. Even though they might be frail and like really ancient and like fucking like, you know, but there's something about them that is they're not afraid and they're not miserable, even if they're like
Oh,
super physically frail.
yeah.
They don't have that. Was that you? Maybe it was you that I was talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were talking about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so real because there's no disconnection from the God, you know? I mean, it's like it's just inherent in, you know, in the and from love. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, it
And I
just
think from elemental living too, I think that could
yes,
have something to do with it. That it's like our old
totally.
people just they sit in cars and in front of TVs,
Yeah, it's so yeah, not
you
that.
know, hospitals and
Yeah,
doctors and pharmaceuticals, and they're just like,
yeah. No relationship to yeah, to the sacred, to elements, to God. It's like oh my God, you can see how much that really fucking matters, you know, when you're around people that really embody that and really live that. So I'm really grateful to be here.
I'm gonna try to get Jackson on Dr. Nuva.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't know why I didn't think of that before. But yeah, he's home from school today. He's just like missing so much school because he just always like
He keeps
vague,
getting sick.
vaguely has like diarrhea or vaguely has like nausea or vaguely has like, it's like,
Man, poor guy.
yeah. And I really tried to make him go to school today and we got in a huge fight. And
He couldn't.
yeah. So
Wow.
I think maybe Dr. Nuva could really help him.
Yeah, I think so. He had diarrhea.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh man. Is he sleeping now?
No, I think he's playing with his beads.
Uh, oh, well, tell him I said hi.
Yeah. He could probably hear you.
Hi, Jackson. Can you hear me?
He's
You can
frightened.
hear everything. I know you can hear everything. I know you have hearing superpowers. Oh, wow. Okay, love you. Bye.
Hey, have you been in touch with Varsha?
A little bit. Not a lot since I've been here. Why?
Well, she said she wants to talk to me and give me some feedback and reflections about the retreat.
Oh, yeah. So do
And
it.
yeah, but I'm a little bit like scared But
Well, it's good for you to be scared. It's good practice.
I just didn't know if you had any like intel about it.
No, I don't know. I haven't talked to her. Okay, love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.